All right, let's get right into it. We're looking at a pretty wild clash happening right now between a sitting U.S. senator and the top brass at the Pentagon. You've got a decorated astronaut on one side and the Secretary of Defense on the other. And believe me, this whole situation is bringing up some huge questions about free speech, military duty, and just how far political power can go.
And boom, this is where it all kicks off. This is a quote from Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. And you really have to pay attention to the language here. The word seditious, that's not something you just throw around. It's an incredibly serious charge, basically accusing someone of trying to incite a rebellion. This is way beyond a simple political disagreement.
So what does administrative action actually mean for Senator Kelly? Well, the stakes are very real and very personal. We're talking about the symbols of his entire 25-year career in the Navy. His rank and his retirement benefits are on the line.
Yeah, the Pentagon isn't just talking a big game here. They've actually started a formal process against him. Let's break down exactly what that means.
So here's how it breaks down. First, there's a 45-day review of his retirement grade, which could lead to him being demoted. And if that happens, it would automatically mean a cut in his retirement pay. And to top it all off, a formal letter of censure would be put in his official military record, which is basically a permanent black mark.
So the big question, right? What could a sitting U.S. senator, a former combat pilot, and a NASA astronaut possibly do to get this kind of heat? Well, the answer isn't a bill he passed or a speech he gave. It's actually all about a video.
Yep, this whole thing exploded because of a video message that Senator Kelly was part of. And it was a message that was sent directly to active duty service members.
In this video, he and a few other lawmakers basically reminded U.S. troops that their first oath is to the Constitution, and they urged them to refuse any orders they felt were illegal. Now, that idea is a core part of military ethics, but in today's political world, well, the administration saw it very, very differently.
And this really gets to the heart of the whole fight. You have two totally different ways of looking at the exact same action. The Pentagon is calling it sedition, saying it's reckless and undermines the chain of command. Senator Kelly says, no, I was just reminding soldiers of their duty and exercising my right to free speech.
Now, to really get his side of things, you have to understand who Mark Kelly is. I mean, look at this. This isn't just any politician. He's a retired Navy captain, spent 25 years as a pilot. He's a celebrated NASA astronaut. He even commanded a space shuttle mission. That deep military background is absolutely crucial to understanding why he's fighting back so hard.
So, as you can imagine, when faced with all this, Senator Kelly did not back down. Not at all. He came out swinging with a response that was incredibly forceful and, you'll see, deeply personal.
Wow. With this statement, Kelly completely reframes the entire argument. He's saying, look, my rank wasn't some gift. I earned it. And he brings up commanding a space shuttle while his wife, former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, was recovering from an assassination attempt. He's making it crystal clear that he sees this as an attack not just on a senator, but on a lifetime of service and sacrifice.
But for Kelly, this isn't just about him. He argues that there's a much bigger principle at play here. He's claiming this whole thing is really an attempt to silence any retired military officers who might disagree with the administration, people whose voices carry a lot of weight on these issues.
And here, he really spells it out. He's accusing them of trying to create a chilling effect, basically to scare other retired service members so they won't speak up. He's positioning this fight as not just about him, but about their right to speak out without fearing payback.
So, okay, why does this one political battle in Washington matter to the rest of us? Well, because it's forcing a major showdown over some really fundamental questions about the rights of people who've served in the military.
So how is any of this even possible? Legally? It all comes down to something called the Uniform Code of Military Justice, or the UCMJ. And here's the key thing you gotta know. The UCMJ doesn't just apply to people on active duty. In some cases, it can apply to retirees who are getting military benefits, which means they're still under military law long after they've hung up the uniform.
And that brings us to the really big picture here. This one case could end up setting a huge precedent for the free speech rights of literally hundreds of thousands of military retirees. It forces us to ask, where's the line between political dissent, which is, a pillar of democracy, and actual military misconduct? And just how much power should an administration have over people who served and are now private citizens?
At the end of the day, this whole firestorm really boils down to this one essential and pretty thorny question. When someone serves their country, earns their rank, and then goes back to being a civilian, where does their duty under military law end and their rights as a private citizen begin?
This case might just force everyone to come up with an answer.